Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/am I the asshole, where OP's wife is now pissed off that he wants to divorce her. Let's begin. Am I the asshole for putting my mental well-being as a priority instead of my child and wife after she requested an open marriage? Posted by Reddit user Decent Special.
First of all, I apologize for the grammatical errors. English is not my first language. My wife and I have been a couple for 9 years and married for 7 years. We have a son who is currently 6 years old. We both work and take turns doing both household chores and homework with our son. Now I have the mentality of I am my priority, which my parents taught me since I was a child. If there is something that threatens my own peace, I am simply going to leave it, and that's it, no matter how much it hurts at first. Now, my sex life with my wife has always been quite active, although it was reduced a little years ago due to the issue of pregnancy and childbirth. That little by little was resolved and we ended up having a good sex life again, at least that it was what I believed. My wife recently told me to talk. She told me that even though she loves me, she feels that ours has become a little monotonous. I told her that I had no problems with that. But she told me that what she was meaning was that she wants to try new things, but with other people, that I could do it too and that it doesn't have to affect our relationship or our family. I'll be honest, her proposal hurt me a lot. She told me to think about it, that she wasn't going to force me. A couple of days passed in which, at my request, she slept with our son while I stayed in our room, which I cried as much as I could in to think about what to do. I came to the conclusion that I didn't want the open marriage, and that it was going to disturb my peace as much as possible. So I talked to my wife and told her that I wanted a divorce if she wanted her open marriage, and that she could have the child 5 days a week while I can have him on the weekends. She immediately said no, that she doesn't want to end our relationship, that we don't need to end it because that would affect her and our son. I responded, and why should I care? If it affects me, it's the most important thing for me. That she didn't take very well. She accused me of being selfish, manipulative, and a bad father. I told her the truth. I told her that if we divorced, yes, our son would have a hard time, but that he would end up getting used to it like every child. What's the problem then? I told her that I've cried enough and that all I want is a little peace, and that her desire to walk around like a drunk teenager having orgies would not give me that peace. Just as she made her intentions clear about wanting an open relationship, I made mine clear about keeping my peace, even if it means separating from them. Am I the asshole for that?
OP, I am all in with leaving your cheating hoe wife. We all know that she has been doing it way before she even asked for the open marriage. But why the hell do you want to be a weekend father? You will be the asshole if you do that. You must get 50-50 custody. 1 to 2 weeks on and 1 to 2 weeks off. You can't just not prioritize your child. Your childhood sentiment doesn't take precedence anymore. You have a kid of your own, my man. He needs to be your top priority, not yourself. He needs a stable parent that will teach him good morals and high principles. It has to come from you, since I highly doubt your wife can be that role model for him. Look, OP, you can choose to prioritize yourself over your wife because you can understand that divorce is better than a toxic marriage for children. But saying that you will take your son 2 days a week? OP, that is just an asshole thing to say. And now for today's second story. I had a baby as a result of an affair, and the man's wife is contacting me. Posted by Reddit user Free River.
I had an affair with a married man a few years ago. I had no clue he was married when we first met and hooked up. I obviously looked him up on social media, and while he did have photos of his kids on there, there was absolutely no mention or photos of a wife at all. I found out that he was married about a month after we first got together, but he told me it was just a marriage on paper and that they basically lived separate lives and agreed to remain married for practical purposes until the kids were older. They owned a business, which she really ran, and he was just financially involved in. I knew at the time that I probably shouldn't believe him, but I convinced myself it was true. I was in my early 20s and so attracted to him, and I guess almost infatuated with him. He made me feel so good. I know now that I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was addicted to all of the attention he gave me, the great sex, the places he'd take me. I felt special. I was so naive. I got pregnant about a year into seeing him. I had always been so careful with preventing pregnancy, but during my relationship with him I took stupid risks. I was so high in lust with this guy, it's embarrassing. The things he'd asked me to do, I'd say yes to almost anything, even when I knew it was a bad idea. I was in love with him, or I thought I was. I hadn't intentionally wanted to get pregnant. I would of course dream about being his wife and having a family, but I knew that wouldn't be a possibility while he had this arrangement with his actual wife. I didn't get pregnant on purpose with any intention of him leaving her for me, even if I wished that we could be a real, normal couple. I was surprised by how excited I was to be pregnant with his baby. I wanted that baby once I found out I was pregnant. The thought of carrying this baby of the man I loved was so special to me, but I knew he probably wouldn't feel the same. I told him I was pregnant and he told me I couldn't keep the baby. I expected his reaction, but I was devastated, and it hurt me to my core that he didn't feel the same way I did. He offered to pay to make a whole weekend of it somewhere exciting, like what the fuck, and offered to buy me something special if I'd just please get rid of the baby. He explained that he didn't want any more kids and that he couldn't openly be a father to another kid when he and his wife were still pretending to be happily married to the outside world. I agreed to do what he wanted and we made plans for him to pick me up and find somewhere out of town to go get it done. I was all packed the night he was going to pick me up, but I started to feel really scared and really unsafe about the whole thing. I took my bag and checked myself into a hotel to hide because I couldn't go with him. I texted him to say I promised to never contact him again and to never name him as the father or go after child support if he'd promised to leave me alone. At first he tried to sweet-talk me into doing what he wanted. When I didn't cave in, he said some very nasty things to me and that I essentially better never contact him again or show up at his door. I have a 2-year-old now. At times, it's been difficult, but overall we are thriving as best we can. I have kept my word about not naming him as the father or requesting child support. His wife contacted me on social media. Well, she's his ex-wife now. She wants to talk to me. She found out about me and told me that she divorced him 6 months ago. She wants her children to know their sibling and for my child to know his siblings. That's weird to me. I haven't responded back to her yet. I am unsure about how to approach this. How do I respond to this? I wonder if I'm being selfish by not exploring an option for my child to know his siblings, if she's being genuine about that. If I was married and my husband fathered a child outside of our marriage, I don't think I'd feel the same that she does. And now, for OP's update. I made a post 3 weeks ago and things have only gotten stranger. I had an affair with a married man a few years ago. I regret it and I will never do anything like that ever again. I knew it was wrong from the very beginning, but he captivated me. I was naive. I allowed myself to believe when he told me they were pretty much just married on paper for the sake of their kids. I got pregnant, and while he tried to talk me into sending it to the shadow realm, I ultimately decided to keep the baby. I have a 2-year-old little boy now. I promised this man that I wouldn't expose our affair and I wouldn't formally identify him as the father or request child support. I did that because he was becoming very nasty about the whole thing and I felt like due to the mess that I had created and the way I felt by the end of it, a clean break with no involvement with him would be the best thing for everyone. I moved back to where my family is, hundreds of miles from where he and his family live. About a month ago his ex-wife reached out to me via social media, claiming they had been divorced for 6 months and that she wanted our children to be able to know each other. Now their kids are teenagers, so I didn't really think they'd want anything to do with the toddler and the woman their father was having an affair with. It seemed odd to me. After posting here, I sort of decided that I wouldn't respond to her. I'd just ignore it. She just sent me the one message, so it wasn't as if she was badgering me about talking to me or meeting me. On Friday night I decided to message her. I don't really know why. I think it was really just for my sake so I could have the chance to apologize to her. I told her that I would be more comfortable speaking with her face to face since I couldn't trust that it was really her. She said she understood. I was too nervous to meet her in person, but we did a video chat. I didn't know what to expect, if this was all a ploy just to unleash her fury on me or what. I mean, I deserve that. She wouldn't be wrong to feel that way. It was really her. She told me she discovered our affair when she found communications between the two of us after our relationship had ended. She told me I'm one of many women he had affairs with over the years and she knew about somebody even before he met me, but she didn't divorce him at the time. Finding out about my child was the final straw for her. I told her I was sorry for my relationship with her husband and admitted that I knew he was married. She graciously told me she forgives me and that while she harbored a lot of anger towards me initially, she ultimately blames her husband. I'm not blameless, but she chooses to not hate me, essentially. She said she couldn't have said this 6 months ago or a year ago when she first found out about me, but she has moved past that. She still has anger toward him, in addition to many other emotions surrounding him. She started pouring out her heart to me about their 20-plus year marriage and life together, and it was very awkward, because what do I even say? Her kids know about me and my son. She says they're very mad at their father. Somehow I don't think they're mad about the fact that he's not involved with my son's life, and why would they be mad about that? I would hate me if I were them. I told her with my son being so little right now, I don't really feel comfortable with him meeting her kids or being involved with their family. I feel unsure about it and it's just not something I feel needs to happen right now. Then she told me her ex-husband was in a bad accident 2 months ago. He's fine now, still not allowed to return to all his normal activities just yet, but will be fine. He is probably the most physically active person I've ever met. Barely ever seems to sit down, so he must be terribly annoying to be around if he's not allowed to go all the time. She told me he wants to meet my son. Apparently, she moved back in with him temporarily when he first came home from the hospital. She said the accident really shook him up and he has been expressing a lot of regret about my son not being involved, not providing for him. So now it's like was everything she said just a lie and he somehow got her to reach out to me on his behalf. And she actually did it. It felt almost like a relief talking to her initially, but then it's like was any of that true, or you were just trying to be his messenger? I don't even know if that part is true now. Why wouldn't he just contact me himself? I'm just feeling so uneasy about the whole thing now.
OP, please get a lawyer. They might try to take your child away and will make you out as the bad mother. Get your ducks in a row. Look, man, your ex is likely a narcissistic asshole, and the wife is never ever going to leave him. She will likely end up with him again in a few months. I wouldn't trust anything either of them say as genuine. Think about your son in all of this, because if he is emotionally or physically hurt, it could linger on for the rest of his life. He would be better off thinking that his father isn't around, at least for now. When he gets older, though, you need to give him the choice of knowing who his father is. That is just the right thing to do. Finally, OP, I am going to be straight with you. I don't like you one bit. You willingly had an affair with a married man without fully confirming his situation with his wife. For short, you're a homewrecker. But I am still glad that you are taking full accountability and responsibility for your actions. A rare trait for women these days. Speaking of responsibilities, I guess it's time to sue him for child support since the cat is out of the bag now anyways. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.